Hi, this is Gary with MACMOST.com. Let me show you how you can use Freeform for presentations. Now, your Mac comes with two free presentation tools. That's right, two. The one you probably think of first, of course, is Keynote, which is the king of presentation tools. And it's still the best option in most cases. But there's another free app that comes with your Mac that lets you do presentations. Now, the main purpose of Freeform is to be able to combine text and graphics for brainstorming and other purposes. And it works great for that. But it also has a special presentation mode that creates presentations that look distinctively different than ones in Keynote. So for instance, let's go into this board I created right here. And in this board, I've just placed a lot of different, well, what looks like slides, right? I've got some title text, I've got some bullet points, and I've got a graphic. And I just put one on top of the other, on top of the other, just 10 different slides in different positions here on this one board. Now you can imagine, of course, just zoom in on what looks like one slide, and you can use this to present. And then you can kind of slide over to the next one and then keep going like that. But there's actually a built-in way to do that that's really kind of neat, and that's scenes. The way you get to scenes is you click this little star icon here at the bottom, and then you get these three controls, a left, right, and list here of scenes. And you can see here I've added 10 scenes to this presentation. When I go to the first one, it actually jumps to that first slide. Go to the next one, it jumps to the next slide. You can see how it actually animates going from one to the other, just as if you're moving. I can use these arrows to go to each slide and go back like that. And it creates a really simple, easy presentation. The cool animation is the movement from one position in the board to another position. So if you like that look, then Freeform might be the tool for you. But the other advantage to doing a presentation in Freeform is just the way you make it. This is just one long board here. If you'd rather play around with your graphics, ideas, and things like that in terms of one large board, then Freeform has that advantage over Keynote, where everything is on an individual slide and you're really just working with one slide at a time. So, of course, you can add text and graphics to the board like you want. But how do you set up these slides called scenes here in Freeform? Well, what you first do is get the actual part of the board that you want to view right in the middle there. It helps if you don't have the sidebar on, so you really can use the whole space. Matter of fact, if you plan on presenting in full screen mode, you want to make sure you go to full screen mode right now so that you can get everything looking just like you want. And after you get the scene perfectly positioned like this, which includes not just the position, but also the zooming. So you can use two fingers on the trackpad, for instance, or you can scroll with your mouse to zoom in and out, use these controls here, get it to be the right size in the right position. And then you click here, you can click Add Scene, and it will add this to the scene list. You have keyboard shortcuts for this, of course. Under View, you've got Scenes, and Add Scene is simply Shift-Command-S. So you could add this scene and then go to where the next scene is and add the next scene. I'm going to show you an even easier way to do this in a few minutes. Once you have all of your scenes listed here, you can rearrange them by simply dragging them around in this list. You could also click on the More button here and rename it. So you don't have to stick with Scene 3. You can actually name this the name of the slide. That way you can jump around in the scene list very easily. Also, if a scene isn't perfectly centered or zoomed in, you can simply go to the new positioning that you want and use Replace Scene, and it will replace this one with whatever you've got showing here. Now, I've chosen the most boring kind of Freeform board to make into a presentation. It's just a big linear list. I really might as well have done this in Keynote, but it becomes more interesting if you actually were to make it kind of nonlinear. For instance, if I were to grab these two slides here and move them to the right, and then maybe moved these up, then had this as 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, 6, and then the movement would go in that direction. But I could also just skip ahead using the scene list here. Now note, since I've already set up these scenes, now everything is kind of out of whack. So I'd have to actually reposition the scenes to get everything right. It's one of the things you want to be careful of. If you find these videos valuable, consider joining the more than 2,000 others that support MACMOST through Patreon. You get exclusive content, course discounts, and more. You can read about it at macmost.com/Patreon. Let's look at another example here where everything's nonlinear. I've got this board here, and I basically have a little title in the middle, and then I've got 6 slides, 3 on each side, and it creates a nice little thing that you could print out. You may have even designed this to print out as a page. But I've also set up scenes here. So I've got the scene here at the beginning that zooms in on the title in the middle. And then the first scene after that goes to the top left. And I could have named this something better here by renaming it. So I know when I want to jump to that, I can. Then the next one goes to the slide at the top right, and so on. And I can use these arrow keys to go through it. An easier way to navigate, by the way, is to go to View and then Scenes, and you'll see here Option, Command, and then the right square bracket and left square bracket. So you could just keep your hands on the keyboard and go from slide to slide to slide. And at the end, I have a scene that basically zooms back out to the entire thing, which highlights another advantage of doing a presentation in Freeform instead of Keynote. I only created this title graphic once, but I use it at the beginning for scene 1 right here, and I use it at the end because it shows you everything. And the same is true for all of these slides. They're all included here at the end. But if I were to actually change something, like I found a typo in one of these and made a change, then it would affect all of the scenes where this text appears. That's not true for Keynote. In Keynote, if you reuse some element across, say, 3 different slides and you wanted to change it, you'd have to change it on each of those 3 slides. Now, you don't just have to do traditional presentations like that. You could do simple slideshows. So, for instance, here, I've just imported 16 different photos from the Photos app. I just dragged them from the Photos app into here, and then I manipulated them around and used some of the tools here for arranging them and aligning them so I could quickly get them into a nice grid like this. And now I can create a presentation using scenes. In fact, I've already set some of this up. So the first scene here shows everything. And the second scene right here, that goes to this first photo. Each one goes to each photo. This creates a really nice look to it as I'm flipping through all of these photos, including going to the 4th one and then down to the left to the first one on the next row. Plus, I can jump very easily back to this original scene here. Unfortunately, there's no way to link, like create a link from this image here to a scene. That would be really nice. Maybe something Apple can add in the future. But for now, you can actually just use the little list here to jump quickly to a photo. Now, I've deleted all of the scenes here for this board, so I can show you how you can very quickly build scenes with some keyboard shortcuts. So when you select something, like say this photo right here, there is the option under View to zoom to the selection, Shift-Command-0. And when you do that, it goes right to that selection. And then remember, you also have under View Scenes, Shift-Command-S to add a scene. So you can use this very quickly to build scenes. I'm going to select all of these, so all 16 graphics here. I'm going to do Shift-Command-0 and then Shift-Command-S, and that adds the first scene. Then I'm going to select just the first photo here, Shift-Command-0, Shift-Command-S. Then I'm going to select this one, Shift-Command-0, Shift-Command-S, and I'm going to continue to do it to all of these to quickly add all 16 of these to the scenes list. So now you could see I've got 17 scenes here, the first one being everything. And if I want that to be the last scene as well, I can simply select all and also add that as a new scene at the end. So now I can have the end scene and the first scene be the same. Now remember, zooming is part of it as well as positioning. So another way to use this is just have a single photo or just a group of photos, but have the scene set up so that they go to different parts of the photo. So here I've got the first scene set up to just bring the entire photo to the center. But the second scene will actually zoom in more on the face and then the tail, the hands, and then back out. And you can imagine I could have, a bunch of different photos on this one board and have a bunch of different scenes that go to different areas inside of a photos. And you could do more than just text and pictures. You can do things like, for instance, videos here. So I've got, these videos, and I could certainly select this one, Shift Command 0, and then Shift Command S to add that as a scene. Select this next one, Shift Command 0, and then Shift Command S to add that as a scene. And then I could very easily go to a video scene here and then click the play button to play that video. So you can have it as kind of a collection of videos that has a nice feel to it as you use the keyboard shortcuts to go from scene to scene. You can see it move over. One of the things about having movement like this in a presentation is it can often help your audience kind of get their bearings and where you are in the presentation. If they see this at the beginning, they know you're going to show 4 different videos here. And as they see you travel from one to the other across the board, they kind of know where they are and they get kind of this geographical view of what you're presenting. There are a lot more things that you would include in a board. For instance, you can include links to web pages, links to music in the Music app, or to locations in the Maps app. So you could actually switch between different apps using those links in conjunction with these scenes. And also, as you may have noticed, there are options to print using the scenes. So if you like making presentations on your Mac and you're looking to do something a little bit different than what you're used to in Keynote, maybe give Freeform Scenes a try. Hope you found this useful. Thanks for watching. Want to know about every new MACMOST video each week? Sign up for the absolutely free MACMOST email newsletter at macmost.com/newsletter.